Welcome to Pro Practice, your guide to piano mastery. I'm Josh Wright, and today's episode is part 2 of the tutorials that are covering the first movement of Chopin Concerto No.1 in E minor, Opus 11. We are going to be looking at the development section today, so starting in bar 385 for the piano. Here we go. We're going to be talking a lot in this development section about some technical exercises that can help you get those parallel fourths, all of the harmonic analysis, or a lot of it, A minor, B7, back to E minor, F sharp 7, going to B minor. So that can help you. We'll go through the whole section. That can help you memorize it faster. And then just some exercises for getting the hands totally aligned, getting that balance in check, any pedaling suggestions that come up, and we will go to the end of the development, and then part 3 will be the recapitulation. So the first thing that I want to go over is, first of all, we find ourselves in C major, which is quite extraordinary. When I played it for my teacher before a recent live stream concert that I did, she said, it still sounds a little on the stormy side, like. And she's like, you can really allow this to be more peaceful. So kind of stroke back. So I've had the una corda down that whole time. If you have a really soft velvety piano, this is pretty velvety. You could do it without, but I would definitely do the first 4 left-hand notes with the una corda down. And then if you want a little more resonance, a little more vibrancy up top, maybe put the una corda back down here, and then back off. And for sure, I would have it off here. I do 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could also do 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, or a combination of either of those. Some students like to switch the fingerings. Some students like to just be straight on. One thing that you can do is focus on the rotation. It's very tiny in there, but right, left. So a lot of students will just try to play it in their fingers and go, and end up accenting it. If you have a little bit of this arm motion as well, and coming up and around and down to that thumb, it not only helps the shape, but it also helps you have more control over the notes. Okay, now here, I always kind of liked, I don't know if you really want to bring out just the bottom line or just the tops. I think the tops just sound too syncopated. So I would probably voice your tops a little bit, but still involve that underline and maybe crescendo a little bit to the middle of that phrase. Also kind of envelop it with rubato, so ease in, rush a little, and then ease out. So more or less. And I like this to come out a little bit more. I still probably would do a diminuendo. And then crescendo. And then less. And then reinforce. Right there, that legatissimo, again, like we saw in part 1 of this tutorial, practicing finger staccato can really help to activate those fingers. Now, because I can't remember exactly what note, just this A. So actually these do have, this is just a resonant piano. If you want to practice it down here, you can hear the releases a little better, is what I was getting at. And notice that I'm not like pulling back so hard that I'm creating a lot of tension in my hand. I'm just activating those fingertips. So also kind of coming up and around with your wrist a little bit, like that. Wrist and arm. The arm is just carrying those fingers into the most comfortable position. I read on a little piano forum one time and it said, the arm plays the fingers. And I liked that because a lot of times you just think the fingers play themselves. But if you allow the arm to carry that into those positions, that does make life a lot easier, especially when you're trying to be really light like this. And maybe lift there, and then you kind of finish that off there. Continuing on. I like that to resolve, and then bigger, and then here, I've listened to recordings, and some people just kind of do a continuous, like that. So I would just do a 3-note trill. So, and some people like to separate it. I like a little bit of separation, but that's just my personal preference. You could do either way. I don't really think that's a big no-no to not take time or to take time, I think. I like to have that be a little afterthought, like a little softer of a resolution. Now, here's another very strange place. This is one of my favorite places in the whole piece because we have Lydian mode there, which you also see in the fourth ballade. Okay, so Lydian mode. You have that sharp 4. Same thing here. If you were in F major, but instead we have B natural. I have a video on YouTube about church modes if you're wondering what Lydian mode is, or Mixolydian or Aeolian or whatever mode you're looking at. So right there, you might be saying, Josh, you're playing that all wrong. They're actually meant to be together. And you would be right. That's how it's written. However, in Trifonov's recording, and I believe I've heard it a couple of other times live, where performers have done, they've rolled it down, I think in an effort to show the counterpoint of these lines. So I think it's okay to do that, and I think it just sounds really beautiful. I told my wife, I said, that's my favorite 3 measures of the whole piece. She's like, you are insane. Why? And I was like, it's another sequence, and I just love those sequences. So if you don't do it to displaced like that, rolled down, you could always just do, and still be aware of this line that resolves down. Because the melody is going like this, it's kind of sparse. I think that, and these harmonies are so special. I do think that involving that inner line is kind of a must, in my opinion. So I wouldn't ignore it. I wouldn't go. Sometimes you're going to hear me, like I think in part 1, I was like, don't bring that out. That's an inner line. And you have to make a judgment call. Is the inner line a part of the melodic tapestry? Is it really creating a nice counterline? And if it is, then maybe you bring out the inner line. If it's just a resolution, like a suspension to a resolution, generally you want to keep that pretty soft. So it's up to you. However, having said this, this is a descending sequence, so I would probably start a little bigger. My teacher and I talked about this. I said, what do you like? Do you like going to there? I was like, because Chopin gives no indication. She's like, yeah, I think you're right. Like, maybe just stay soft and then have this be a little bit exciting, but not like in your face fortissimo. It's a sforzando, but sforzandos can often be accents within a dynamic. So if it's in a soft dynamic, take your time. Okay, I have some advice on these fourths that should help.